Hello, Haunted Heart Society members. I'm Emily S.W.
Sam.
And we are coming at you with another episode of your favorite podcast and mine, the Haunted Heart Society Dark Literature Podcast. Make sure to follow us on all the social places. We've got Instagram, Tumblr, Substack, YouTube. Podcast is also available on Spotify and all the other places you can listen to podcasts, I think.
That's right.
Yep. So make sure to follow us, hit subscribe, hit the like button, and join us for our miscellaneous.
Nonsense.
Yeah. I'm feeling particularly nonsensy today. It might have something to do with the story we read.
It was a pretty good one.
It was fun. It was a bit of a change of pace. So we read a short story called The New Mother by Lucy Clifford, which is, I believe, the most famous, or at least probably the most widely known, because it was an inspiration for Coraline. So for millennials and Gen Z and such, if you read this story, there are some very familiar elements. Although I suppose saying that kind of spoils the whole story.
I am glad that we have a different source for kind of the Coraline other mother vibe, because Neil Gaiman is not the person we all thought he was.
Oh my god, that was such a betrayal, dude. When all that stuff was coming out, I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? That one hurt a little bit. That one hurt. You know what? That's why AWOL Nation made a song called Kill Your Heroes. That's a joke. In Minecraft. Not literally.
Okay.
And also, as I was reading about this story, because I picked it out because I was like, oh, that's the inspiration for Coraline, so I bet that'll be an interesting read. And then I started diving deeper into it, and there is also... So The New Mother was retold for one of the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books.
Oh.
Which, if you're not familiar, audience, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, before it was a movie, because that was recently made into a movie, it was a series of short story collections with really haunting pen and ink illustrations.
Iconic.
First of all, iconic. Yes, iconic. But also, second of all, traumatizing. Because I read them and I heartily enjoyed them. I literally read them more than once. But there are a couple stories in those books. In particular, there was one where a girl gets bit by a spider and it lays eggs in her cheek. That story, oh my god, that still gives me the... Ugh.
Oh, well, at least you didn't have to watch that happening, because they used that very similar concept in a film called Urban Legends that Danielle made me watch, and I made her stop it halfway through because it was so disgusting. Yikes.
I mean, I watched the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie. I did
This was not for kids.
No, valid.
This was like a genuine, actual, slasher horror.
Gotcha. Yeah, no. I mean, the recent Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie, I did enjoy. I did actually heartily enjoy it.
I know I put it on. Do I remember anything about it? No.
It was long for a horror movie. I think horror movies really overstay their welcome at a certain point.
Oh, yeah, the standard for a horror thriller is to only be about 90 minutes long. Because any longer than that, you start losing your tension.
Yeah, and that Scary Stories movie did run into that a little bit, and I don't know if it's because I read the stories and I'm so familiar with them from being a child, but it did genuinely make me feel uncomfortable. Like, it did scare me, which is very rare for a horror movie to do.
Oh, well, I don't remember anything about it, even though I know I watched it. So I guess that goes to show how much of an impression it made.
Yeah, I mean, but the reason I brought it up, we're talking about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, but the spider story that scared me so much is referenced in that movie. And it's a little... I don't know if I could watch that scene again, I'll be honest. It's not really gross, but it's just too much.
Now, see, the ones that I remember from the books there was one about, a scarecrow.
Yes, that was in the movie, yep.
But the scarecrow was actually like a dead body or something, or it came to life. See, I don't even remember the details of this very well, because I didn't actually have these books. My cousin had them, and I don't think I've ever actually read one cover to cover.
I'm pretty sure I got them from the library.
I wasn't allowed to read scary stories when I was a kid. I was not allowed to read Goosebumps books. I was not allowed to watch The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I actually never saw Nightmare Before Christmas until I was in high school.
I mean, that was the time to do it, though.
My mother thought it was going to be too scary.
And that movie isn't even scary.
No, it's a kids' movie.
Yeah. I mean, I
And
guess maybe if
Goosebumps
you're like a
are,
toddler.
well,
The retelling is called The Drum, if anyone's curious.
that's quite a different
And
title.
it's basically just, but the story itself, because I found like some stuff about it online. It's basically the same story, but told in plainer 1980s English instead of 1880s.
Okay. I mean, the 1880s English wasn't difficult.
No, it wasn't. But I just mean like it's really dumbed down.
Okay. So
But I
who
mean, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, it was aimed for a pretty young audience. So
Yeah, so that was gonna be my next question. Who actually was the target audience for this story? Was it like in a magazine? Like how was it published? Do we know?
yes, we do know. The New Mother was first published in. She had a collection of children's stories in
Okay.
1882. So the collection was called The Anyhow Stories, Moral and Otherwise,
Uh,
and they've been
okay,
reprinted in a couple different anthologies.
so this is written for children in the 1880s.
Yes, it was written specifically. Lucy Clifford wrote it for her children, or the book in general. She wrote for her own
Mm.
children.
I was gonna say, what was she
Which-
trying to tell her kids?
Yeah, well, and the thing of I think knowing that she wrote it for her own children changed my perception of the story just a little bit. Examining, it's like, what moral lesson are you trying to teach in here?
Something that would be in a children's story typically anyway. Even if it wasn't written for her children in particular. That's generally the point of even fairy tales, right? You're trying to teach children, usually to be good.
Yes, that's true. That's a good point. But this one in particular, I was like, I wonder if her children were being misbehaved, and so she just sat down one day and it's like, I'm gonna write something to scare them into line.
I mean, I feel like in order to even have this idea, there has to have been, someone being a little out of hand in order for you to sit there and think, I'm just gonna run away and leave my kids with this other thing.
Yeah, well, and it also reminded me of, oh my god, I can't remember what it's called. There's this kid's picture book about a teacher whose class is being really misbehaved. So she comes in one day dressed as like a witch, but just like, I'm the substitute teacher, and she's like really terrible and mean. Do you know what book I'm talking about?
This sounds extremely vaguely familiar.
It's like a picture book.
I wish I could remember. Remember when I was trying to find that children's book about how chocolate is made?
Miss Nelson is Missing.
Oh.
Sorry, that's the title of the book I was just talking about.
Well, there was a website that I had found where it's literally just help me find this book, and you could make a post and you would write in your vague description of what you were looking for. And with any luck, someone would come in, find it for you. Okay, I have seen this.
Yeah, I just sent Sam a picture because I was like, as soon as Sam sees it, she's going to recognize it because the illustration is so.
I probably did read this like in elementary school.
Yeah, it still floats around libraries to this day. It's a classic.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm sure because The New Mother was pretty famous. It's essentially Lucy Clifford's, I don't think it's her number one most famous story. She also wrote some other stuff. She has a book called Mrs. Keith's Crime, which is supposed to be pretty well known. I'd never heard of it. And I also, while I was researching this story, came across people like to write about this story, and people have been writing about it. I came across an article on JSTOR, which is a literature database that was written in, I think, the 90s or the 80s, maybe, that's talking about The New Mother. And also in that article, they reference people in the 50s who were writing about The New Mother. So it made the rounds. I'm sure quite a bit has been based on this idea.
So I guess the challenge is, what can we have to say about it that hasn't already been said?
Well, I thought it would be interesting, again, to delve into the moral. Like, why was this story written? What are we trying to teach children with this story? And now, I guess we should probably say what the story is, or what happens.
Yeah, just brief summarizing, I think will do it.
These two girls live with their mother and baby brother.
Wasn't another girl?
No, yeah, the baby.
Yeah.
I don't know that the baby ever gets gendered.
In
a cottage in the woods.
Mostly irrelevant. It's another sibling.
But yeah, so there are two young girls. They live with their mother and a baby. Their father is off at sea. One day, the two girls are out in the village, and on their way back, they meet this mysterious stranger who's dressed shabbily, has a strange instrument, and has some strange ideas. And she convinces the girls, I have this really cool instrument that has these two little people in there that dance. And do you want me to show it to you? And they're like, show it to us, show it to us. And she's like, nah, you're too good. I only show it to naughty children. And so they go home. It's like, well, we could be naughty because we want to see that thing. They keep being naughtier and naughtier. And every time they talk to this mysterious woman, they're like, look, we've been naughty. We did everything you said we should do. We threw our lunch on the floor and we broke our teacups and we did all this bad stuff. And she's like, no, not bad enough. Not bad enough. You gotta go break the mirror. You gotta go break that clock. You gotta stand the baby on its head. And I'm like, that's not naughty. That could be manslaughter, first of all. And the mother is so distraught. She's like, why would you want to be naughty? That would make me so sad. If you really love me, you wouldn't be naughty. You wouldn't want to see me sad. And she says, if you're so naughty, then I have to leave and I'll be replaced by a new mother with glass eyes and a wooden tail. And so it escalates. The girls become so naughty. They destroy the house, rip everything off the walls, the works. And the mother is just like, that's it. I gotta go. She puts on her Sunday best, grabs the baby in her bonnet. It's like, see ya. And she leaves. And the little girls are like, she'll come back. That was a lie, right? She'll be back. There's no other mother. Lo and behold, there is another mother with glass eyes and a wooden tail. And I will say, so at the end of the story, when the little girls are holed up in their house and they just clean the house, they're like, oh, maybe if we clean the house, our mom will come back. So they try to undo all the damage they've done. They try to put everything back in order, but they can't quite do it. And then when the other mother comes, they close the door, they lock it, close the shutters. And that little description of them, I wasn't scared. Let me not say that. It didn't scare me, but it was atmospheric. I was like, oh, that's creepy. I'm feeling it, this tension. So yeah, and eventually the other mother breaks the door down with her wooden tail. The little girls run out the back door of the house into the woods, and then that's where they live forever. And they're cold, and they're miserable, and they're dirty, and they're hungry. And every once in a while, they go back to the house and they try to see if maybe, hey, did our mom come back? And nope, it's always the other mother. And they live unhappily ever after.
And they never get to see the little man and the little woman and the instrument either.
No, that's true. They've thrown away their entire life for the promises of a woman, a strange woman they'd never seen before in their life, who lied to them.
Can I say, so you had mentioned before that this has been talked about and people seem to really, I guess, resonate with the story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, thinking back onto my own memories, I have to conclude either my mother at some point read this or it's just like a fantasy that mothers have. Because she used to, when I was a real little kid, pretend that she was the other mother. She had been replaced by a monster, and she would chase me around the house, pretending to be like a monster. Well, I don't know. I still don't, to this day, understand why she did that.
Yeah. I mean, it's very possible because I think, because this was published in a book of children's fairy tales, I wonder if it's the kind of thing where because it was popular. So, people read it to their
either
kids.
She read it or
down.
It's just like this fantasy that mothers have where someone else comes and terrorizes I don't even think I was a naughty child.
Well, it's kind of like the opposite of a superhero. They have a disguise like Superman, Clark Kent, except instead of morphing into a hero, you morph into the worst version of yourself.
Oh, that's an interesting concept.
So one of the things I was reading, somebody who had been talking about the story was talking about it as the dichotomy of, as a child, well, theoretically, your mother is the person who raises you, feeds you, shelters you, loves you, but also is the person who hands down judgment and essentially is the moral sort of arbiter. Arbiter is not the right word, but hands out punishment if you go against whatever moral code is decided. I guess you could say that, but I kind of interpreted this story a little bit more as don't talk to strangers and be careful whose advice you don't trust everyone's advice, essentially. If you've got a good thing going and you enjoy your life and it's fulfilling, why would you listen to somebody who says, oh, well, actually, I have this really cool thing and you just have to do the opposite of what you're doing right now? And don't worry about the consequences. Of course, they're not mutually exclusive. But yeah, I was also thinking of this, like, and it is, as we're recording this, it's January 15th, so pretty close to the holidays. Or the holidays have recently passed, I should say. But it made me think of Elf on the Shelf, too. Yeah, or like, just this idea of judgment, an imposed order. Because, and at the end of the day, it's all arbitrary. But in this case, it's almost like the opposite. Like, somebody's watching for them to misbehave, and then once they misbehave, then they swoop in and...
Oh, like an evil Santa.
Yeah, the anti-Santa, Krampus. Well, they didn't get stuffed in a stack.
Well, here's the thing, though. Yeah, Krampus punishes bad children, whereas this lady was going to reward the misbehavior. She still didn't, which I guess is maybe the punishment unto itself.
Yeah, and she also intrigued me because she was described as being, her clothes were shabby, her appearance, she was unkempt, her hair was really strange and not great, she was dirty, all this stuff.
So here's a question. She, when she's leaving the town, she goes by their house and says that the new mother is coming. But she is never on the page at the same time as the new mother.
No, she's not.
What if she is the new mother? Or they're in collaboration somehow?
Kind of like a league of...
villains?
Yeah. I was also gonna say kind of almost like a deal with the devil, It's like she's sort of this figure that tempts the children, knows how to tempt the children, and lures them away from their life of goodness.
That's true. We aren't really given a clear explanation about what the new mother is, and I don't think Coraline is really able to explain what the new mother is either, other than this kind of entity that lives in this other dimension, more or less.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and plus, like, Coraline obviously explores the concept a little more, because this story is literally just, it's 90% lead up to the new mother, and then, like, 10% of what happens when the new mother shows up. Yeah, and the glass eyes and the wooden tail were interesting to me, because...
can be normal depending on how they look.
Yeah.
Like, people have glass eyes. It's not a big deal.
No, it's not a big deal.
There's nothing scary about that.
The wooden tail is like, that's strange.
You know what it's like? It's like a Sasori in his puppet.
Oh my god. Naruto, is that you? Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. His is like a scorpion tail.
Yeah.
This one drags. They describe hearing it drag on the ground. I was picturing kind of like a lizard's tail.
But she's also able to use it.
Yeah, that's true.
With
so
force.
Maybe not a lizard, maybe more like a dinosaur. I forget which dinosaur it is that can use their tail to fight.
Stegosaurus. The ones with the spiky tails.
Yeah, and so, another thing it made me think of was Mary Poppins. Except in Mary Poppins, the titular Mary Poppins is nice. But she does show up magically when the children are being horrible and out of control.
I only saw clips of Mary Poppins in my 3rd grade music class.
You've never seen?
I've never actually seen Mary Poppins.
Oh my god, we have to watch Mary Poppins. I love Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is iconic.
Never seen it all the way through.
God. I don't know why that's broken my brain. But, I mean, Mary Poppins was also a very big part of my life, because when I was in elementary school, we did a play, and it was Mary Poppins. So, even before that, I loved Mary Poppins. I mean, that's where supercalifragilisticexpialidocious comes from, which is, like, the best word ever.
You know what? That's really funny, because I was actually thinking about the 5th grade play that I was in. And it was my whole 5th grade class. This was something that the teacher did every year. We did puppet plays, and then the big stage play we did in the auditorium in the middle school. And the play that we did was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, but anyways, I mean, in Mary Poppins, a magical nanny is hired after the children are being naughty, and spoonful of sugar makes medicine like, she's very nice. She's very strict, but she teaches them how to be upstanding members of society, essentially.
Do you remember that Super Nanny, like, reality show?
Oh my god.
That was on?
Yes. I remember
It must have been the inspiration for it, right? Mary Poppins.
Oh, it must have been. Yeah, hands down. I mean,
'Cause
the early 2000s and the 2010s were, like, peak reality TV, too.
yeah, that's true. But it's kind of the
Like
same concept where you have this like professional nanny goes into houses where the children are very misbehaved and tries to turn them around.
but that's another interesting thing about this story, like, I mean, obviously, it's a short story, you can only do so much, right? But the short story isn't focused on reformation of the
Oh no.
children. The story is based on their fall from grace, and that's it.
And
They
the
suffer the
following
consequences.
suffering, yeah.
Mhm.
It's yeah, that is a very what you were saying before with the devil kind of
Mhm.
analogy. That's a very like medieval sort of that's the feeling I get out of it where when you do bad and evil things come and it's like the Faust legend. Maybe that's what it's making me think of
Mm.
because there are a lot of different iterations of the Faust legend
Yeah.
depending on which time period it's told in. In the original, medieval stories, Faust at the end because he contracts with the devil Mephistopheles for magic powers and supernatural abilities. And in the original iterations at the end, he's taken to hell.
Yes.
And you get into later, like the Enlightenment time period, they start to write in ways that he redeems himself, so he avoids that fate.
Yeah, it is interesting, those kinds of trends where, like, the focus being either on, oh, the bad, like, you did bad stuff, you're gonna be punished, like, this is why you behave, this is why you act a certain way, or else. And then also, it's interesting when people choose to instead focus on, here's the mistakes, here are the bad things, but you can change. Like, two very
Yeah.
drastically different views.
I would assume if this was real life and not just a story, at some point the girls would be old enough to no longer have to live in the woods.
Yeah, you would think, I wanna read the sequel where they grow up, learn secret ninjutsu, and take their house back, take their revenge.
I mean, clearly the new mother is a ninja puppet.
Oh, yeah, clearly. There's some Akatsuki lurking around somewhere.
Yeah. And you know what? The Naruto world has got enough problems with wayward children that no one cares for that honestly I think that they could have gotten away with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I do think this being a fairy tale, and I mean, well, I shouldn't say it is a fairy tale. It's written kind of in the style of a fairy tale. And I thought that was done, like, I thought that was very well done. It reminded me very much of, like, the old style, like the Grimm's fairy tales and stuff. Maybe a little less dark, not much less, but
It was pretty dark.
it was pretty dark, yeah. I get, like, because I would like to have children one day. I don't know that I would read this to my children.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
Maybe when they get to be like 6 and 7.
Yeah, that's true. I don't wanna read it to them too young, but, see, the other
When
thing is,
they're old enough to understand consequences.
yes, that's true. And they're not so young that I will scar them for life and give them trauma they have to work out in therapy later. Yeah, and maybe because I'm a I'm a bit of a rebel. I'm a bit of a nonconformist. I don't like the moral undercurrent of, like, oh, going against your parents is bad. Which I understand for children. I understand why you teach children that, because as the parent, you are also responsible for keeping them safe.
Well, here's the thing though. They were never instructed. This is, I guess, getting into splitting hairs of the words that were chosen. They were not told to disobey their mother. They were told to be naughty.
That's true. That's a good point. That is a good point.
They were
I
specifically told do things that are harmful, destructive, and bad.
that's I guess me being a bit of a contrarian also, I'm just like, sometimes you just gotta smash a mug. That it's healthy to express these emotions in a safe and controlled environment sometimes. But yeah, I definitely think the stranger danger moral, valid. This is kind of random, but speaking of fairy tales, did you ever read or hear A Little Match Girl?
Yeah.
Talk about dark. Holy.
There is oh my gosh, which I know Disney did like a short animated version of it, and I'm trying to think of which full-length film it's attached to.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
It might have been on the reissue of the Little Mermaid DVD. because we had, when they mastered it on DVD, Mom bought the set copy, and it had like multiple discs in it because it had like a bunch of extra stuff. It had and I think it was on there, that short film, and it also had like ride throughs of the Little Mermaid ride in either Disneyland or Disney World. I don't remember which one it was. And there was like sing-along versions of the songs and like all this extra stuff.
That's interesting.
I don't know positively if that's the movie that came attached with on the disc, but I feel like that's the only thing we had that had that much like extra bonus stuff on it.
It was released as an extra on the Little Mermaid Platinum Edition DVD.
Wow, my memory's good.
It is good. Well, and that makes sense because Little Match Girl is a Hans Christian Andersen story, which The Little Mermaid originally also was.
Yes.
But yeah, there's the Little Match Girl.
That's just dark in a different way, though. That's just downright depressing.
Yeah. But you see that, and this one's definitely not as dark as that. I mean, yeah, The Little Match Girl, low-key, again, when I read it or first heard it, I don't even know where it got into my brain, but it stuck with me all these years.
Yeah, it's depressing.
It is.
Story, I wouldn't say the story is necessarily depressing, but it's definitely one where you're kind of just like, wow, that's creepy.
Yeah, like it had good atmosphere, and it had like it really captured the sort of cadence of a fairy tale, which I really enjoyed. I didn't physically read it. I listened to it, and that was a highly enjoyable experience. There's a couple different people on YouTube who have done readings of it, and so that's what I did, which added, I think, to the experience of it being like a fairy tale. I was kind of embodying this idea of being read to as a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just read it with the words and my eyeballs.
You know what? That's also valid.
It didn't take very long. It was very short.
No, it is. And it's, because it's intended for children, the language is very simple. But
even for the 1880s.
Yes. Yeah, even for the 1880s. But yeah, it was very creepy.
I'd read it to my kid.
Listen, that's valid.
But then again, apparently scaring children is just runs in the family.
I wonder how far back you could trace that, you know what I mean? Like, one person reads a scary story to their child, and like how many generations does it trickle down until now we have, just this widespread Western tradition of scaring children into line.
Well, that goes way, way, way back.
Which, it has its uses. The whole reason fairy tales and folk tales exist is to, they are kind of basically teaching children, here's society, here's how to act in society. If you do things against society, that's taboo and bad things will happen. And bad things will happen to you. But they do also teach, hey, don't go in the forest at night, you idiot. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So, pros and cons. I think that's it. I think
that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, and it was kind of fun reading like a kid's story, which is something I've had kind of in the back of my mind of wanting to delve into sort of children's gothic a little bit more. Yeah, I have a couple stories in mind. But let us know, audience, what you think, if you'd like to kind of dive into classic children's gothic, which is a little bit more difficult to do, but it's doable.
It could be the topic of your dissertation.
Add it to the list.
All right. That's all I got to say.
All right. Well, so leave a comment. Let us know what you thought. Highly recommend. It's easy to find this story. It's short. You can find it on YouTube. It's fun to listen to. It's like, if you listen to it on YouTube, it's like 45 minutes. It's not very long.
I don't think it even took me that long to read it. But I also read really fast.
Yeah, that makes sense. We'll see you. We won't see you. We'll talk to you next time. I'm very excited for our next read.
I know, you've said you are several times.
Yes. Thank you for listening to the Haunted Heart Society Dark Literature Podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment, hit like.
We need to work on the outro.
We need a workshop.
We had a really good one that one time, and then it hasn't come back. Neither of us remember what it was.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and see if I can write it down or find which episode it was in.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening, Haunted Heart Society. We will talk to you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.